Welcome back to Parent Tips. I'm Molly Swander, and I'm joined today by Julie Ashcraft. And so I am on staff here with our children's ministry. My husband Taylor is also on staff, which you know, with our student ministry. And we have 3 young daughters who are 3, 6, and 9. So we have one daughter in Grow Zone, and we have 2 daughters in Treasure Island, which is our elementary program. And Julie, you also are a mom of 2 daughters, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have 2 girls. We have 2 girls. Madison, who is 25 and married, and been married for 4 years to Carson, and Michaela, who is 20 and is about to start her senior year at UNCW.
So in this season, we've been talking a lot about the importance of the process and things being a process. And I think what I'm learning in the last decade of being a mom is that parenting is not an overnight journey.
Oh gosh. No.
It is a process.
It is a season.
It is a season.
And I will say that, I have said that since the girls were little, it is a season, and seasons change.
Yes.
And your season may be a little longer, it may be a little shorter. Sometimes we want them to just move on through the season, but it is a season and it will change.
Yeah.
And they grow up or get bigger or the circumstances change. So when I have friends that call me, or especially if they have little ones,
Yes.
your smallest one is 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So like if they have a baby and they're, oh my gosh, they cry all night. Well, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but crying all night for somebody that's their only child, you're like, the season is never gonna end.
Yes.
But it does end. So anyway,
Yes.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, but I think that's so good because I even think about like the season of like changing diapers.
Yeah.
I've been out of that season now for 2 years, and I'm like, man, when I was in the season of changing diapers, it felt like a never-ending battle of changing stinky diapers.
Yeah, and expensive.
Yeah, expensive. Expensive. We're saving so much money.
Yeah, you are saving a lot of it. But seasons change constantly, and I don't think it gets easier.
Right.
I mean, it's just different.
Yeah.
And you don't want to miss what's happening in that season or what's changing in you during that process. So definitely don't wish it away.
Yeah.
That's, somebody, what would you do if, what would you change? And I don't know that I'd change anything. I wouldn't wish things away.
Yeah.
Even though things were hard, I would say, that was probably what I would do is, if this would happen, then and it's not. It's just, you just got to move through the seasons, trusting God that's going to provide you. And I mean, nobody knows how to be a parent when they, here's your newborn, go home.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, that's where the process is. Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. So we kind of just touched on this, but looking back, what do you wish you would have known in the season of parenting that maybe I'm in?
When we first had kids, we didn't have any friends that had kids.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's normal. Mike was in youth ministry at a church, and everybody we had old kids. So when we had a baby, Madison, nobody had a baby. So we thought, oh my gosh, the world has ended because she cries all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think just surrounding yourselves with things like, what's happening in Parent Network or, in Treasure Island and Grow Zone, where you have mom meetups and different things.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with people of like seasons helps you know that you're not crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're all crazy, but we're at least all crazy in the same direction of just surviving. But you don't want to just survive, you want to thrive.
Yeah.
So just take that season and go, okay, this is the season I'm in. Yes. It may seem like forever, but it's not, and it's going to move on. So I think, I don't know that I would change anything, but probably the one thing I wish I had done is surrounded myself more with like-minded parents that have the same age as my children.
Yeah, I think I am learning that a little bit in my life, is that when I mention something that I'm struggling with as a parent as we enter like new seasons, or something that my oldest is starting to talk to us about, and I mention it to a parent who maybe has a kid a similar age, and they're, oh yeah, my kid's doing that too. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. Because you kind of like tiptoe into it, like, has your kid mentioned this? And then they do, and they're like, it's like a weight to go, it's not them.
And
so
really,
beautiful.
and I do social media. Like, I love Facebook and Instagram. I mean, we do all kinds of fun stuff on there, especially when it's like hurricane time or different.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't like put that out on Facebook like, oh, who, what, because you don't need to share all that there.
Yeah.
It's surrounding yourself more in with mom meetups, meeting them at the coffee shop, because you want to really hear what's going on. You don't want Instagram life,
right.
and you don't want Facebook life, and you don't want it either way. You don't want it just perfect, and you don't want people putting all your stuff on that.
So we all know that at times we plan big ways to connect and like pour into our children. But what happens when those plans don't work out?
Well, here's something we don't do. We do not, I don't know if this is the right way to say it. This is the way Mike and I talk about it. We do not over spiritualize everything.
Okay.
We want our talk, our walk with the Lord, everything to be natural. And so we don't go, okay, Madison and Michaela, let's sit down at the table and we're gonna have a Bible story every day at 5 o'clock till 5:32. And some people, that's fine. And if you do that, that's fine. It's just, we want it to be natural. So we want them to see the fruits of the Spirit in our life. So it's not, we're having to quote a Bible verse to tell them something. It's just a natural part of our family. Okay. So they know it's just that building of trust and then incorporating it naturally. So we don't, and I don't remember Mike ever doing, we're going to do it this way and the plans fell apart. It was more just, let's just be who we are. We're not perfect parents by any means. You could interview my kids and they will tell you that all day long. They'll still tell you that. But just being ourselves and being honest and being, open with our relationship, with the Lord. And I just want, them to see us just being natural, not trying to over spiritualize everything. I don't know if that's the right wording, and I don't want to take that out of context. I just don't want, that's how we are.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. What is something that has worked really well with engaging in faith with your kids?
I think the part of it is that whole trust piece of no questions are dumb questions. Yes, you can doubt. You can say, why would God do that? Or why would God allow that? Not have them have that fear of, if I ask that to my mom or dad, they're going to think I'm, going off the rails. But that, I don't know. It's just, it's really just a process. It's just that having them, I want them, if they have a question about something, I want them to ask me. I mean, now they're 20. I mean, Michaela still asks me all the time, but I want them to ask me if they're 10, 9, 7, 8, 3. I want them to ask me. I don't want them to ask somebody else. And I want them to trust me enough to ask me that I'm not going to freak out on them. I mean, I don't consider myself dramatic. So I try to, okay, let's talk about that, and it could be some. And now, gosh, these kids are facing so many big issues. And they're tiny. They're 7, 8, 9. Their brains can't even fathom, and they're having to make decisions about things they should never be having to make decisions about. So I want them to come to me. I don't want them asking their friends on the playground, what their opinion is, and that's what they form in their brain. So
what I love about that is, I think it's just such a good reminder of that. For us as parents, just like being available to our kids, being available to communicate with our kids, asking them questions. One of the practices that we are trying with our oldest daughter is just to tell her that she trusts us. Like you trust us, and so because you trust us, I want you to share that, what you're feeling with me. And she is pretty easy because she loves to talk about everything. And her conscience really attacks her, so she just tells us everything. And so it's great. It's a great thing to try with our oldest. I don't think our middle will be quite as easy. But I do think it's great to just keep those streams of communication with your kids open. And I think that's one thing that you do really well is just are constantly in communication with your kids, and that they've that you ask the questions, and that they have learned to trust you with the answers. And so I think that's beautiful.
And they just, like you said, they are different. So you can do one with your 9-year-old that you can't do with your 6-year-old, that you can't do with your 3-year-old. You just have to learn their personalities and that whole, how to shape their heart, in the same way, kind of thing. So.
How have you invited your kids to encounter and process faith alongside you?
Well, like I mentioned before, I want it to be a natural thing. So both of Mike and I together, I don't think it looks, to me, in our family, it doesn't look like, oh, at 5 o'clock every day at the dining room table we're going through. I want them to see me naturally processing just like they are, that it's just part of who we are. It's not, a set time, a set place, but that, that we can always be talking about God or questions or anything that we have. And that's just what I want it to look like for us. So I guess it's not, it's more of a flow. I want them to see that in my life, and for them to see that in Mike's life, and to go, okay, it's not like compartmentalized.
Yes.
It's just we are who we are, and that we mess up, and that we're not perfect, and we haven't figured it all out, and we still haven't figured it all out at 50, but that, that we can be together and we can ask those questions and process whatever it is we're talking about, whether it's doubting something or maybe something in the Bible, maybe a scripture they read and go, this seems kind of weird. Like, okay, well, I think it's weird too. Let's talk about it, or something. So more of being a natural flow versus a set time and day.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but that's just how we do it in our family.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the word compartmentalize is so good, because I think sometimes our mindset could be that God is a box for Sunday, or that faith is something that it's reading your Bible at a certain time, or doing a Bible study with your family, or leading, and it can be those things.
Yeah.
But it can also be just our natural flow and rhythm of life, and that we encounter God in everything we do, and the process of that, and that our kids encounter God with us and alongside us, and as we move through life together, that those conversations and those nuggets of faith and that bigger picture arises naturally, and it arises daily through our interactions with each other.
Right, and it's not just, on Sunday morning from 9 to 10:30, that it's every day. It's Monday, it's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, it's Thursday, it's at the ballpark, it's at the ballet studio, it's at your child's teacher, it's how you treat people, it's how you drive in Wilmington, it's how you do everything. It's just a natural flow of your life.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
So if you had to do it all over again, is there something that you would spend more or less time on?
I would spend more time, I think, and I know this sounds crazy, but we love to do activities and traveling and being together, and we did a lot, but I can remember early on, and maybe Michaela wasn't born yet, I was like, for Christmas I gotta get her this toy and this, that, and and now our new thing over probably the last 7-8 years as we're getting, is like traveling together, doing activities together, because of just that making memories, that time together, time spent together is more important than things I can purchase for them.
Right.
Not that they don't want new clothes or new whatever, but I think that was probably in the early days. I think I felt like, I had to work this job so I can buy everything and they can play every sport. And if they play every sport in America, in Wilmington, you're never gonna see your kids and you're never gonna see your spouse, and it's gonna be horrible. So don't do that. So I would say, playing a sport is great, but just having a good life balance, going, what's working for our family, what's not working for our family, and doing that reassessment all the time. Because when that season changes, something that was working may not work again in the next season. So you have to go, hey, this is not working, and you and Taylor have to be on that same page. Mike and I have to be on, and I'll go, it may be working for you, it is not working for me, so let's back up. So we're constantly talking about it.
I think one thing I've noticed, again, like through social media, is that you guys are always, even though your girls are grown and one is married and the other is in college, you guys spend a lot of time together still with your adult children as a family. And I think that is just definitely reflective of the way that you have raised them.
I wanted to be part of who their friends were, who their first grade friends were, who they played with on the playground, who they ate lunch with every day. Yeah. I wanted them to know me. I wanted to know their personalities. I wanted to, I'm so glad you're friends with, and I wanted to call out things that I saw, like how they treat each other, just so we can talk about relationships. And when Madison was really little, I'll never forget, we put a ballet studio or ballet mirrors up in one of our, because that was what she was big into.
Yeah.
So their friends could come over and they could have ballet class there. And
that's
so
so sweet.
we've sold that house since then. So we went from the ballet studio to the pool. But it is always it doesn't necessarily, even if we didn't have a pool, it would be, come over, let's order pizza. I want their friends to be part of our family too.
Yeah.
Because their friendships are so important. And when they're in 5th grade or 4th grade or 3rd grade or kindergarten or preschool, their friendships are still important. They're a little bit different and issues are a little bit bigger as they get older. But as you build that relationship, as you process through the seasons of life with them, they know they can trust you each step, just like your 9-year-old. You know, you trust us, you know, and you don't want to go at 16, don't you trust us? You know, that's not what you want to be at. You know, not that you can't redeem that at all. But, you know, you want to start when they're young to just really building that relationship with them.
Yeah.
So
good. Well, thank you for joining us for our parent tip video, and thank you to Julie
thanks for having me.
encouraging us and just reminding us that it's a process and that ultimately God's in control of our kiddos and their lives, and we're just here for the journey.
That's right.